there anything important?
Well, if you can hear me,
yeah.
The imagination. Early on, I heard Dwayne say once, "You dream your way to the is." So I took that to heart, and that's primarily what I do. Is like use my imagination, or use, like a type of imagination kind of idea to in this case, I could say move me or shift or become more aware through that tool. It's like a tool you use. So most people are very literal, so they just go off of what the the response they get, or the reactions that they do from daily life and from their relationships and interactions and the things that happen to them. That actually you can use your imagination to the benefit, so you can in a way bypass. Well, in a way, live in your own world, because each of us do in our own way. We live in our own little bubble, but through your imagination and doing the new you, along with that, you can align yourself with the real reality and get out of the illusion, or start working your way out of the matrix and the agreements you've made and the other things that you've agreed to that in this life, so you can really see it clearly, more clearly. That the imagination is really, it's fun to have that, because you can play around with it. I mean, don't be afraid to experiment with it. It doesn't have to be literal, cut and dry, or whatever. I mean, fantasy and and all that. It's really cool, because that's where you can let go and be whatever you want to be, and then bring it back here. The thing is, bringing it back here is the challenge, because if people don't agree with you, then you have to gain that agreement for it to become true or manifest. So it's to see more in your own way.
Oh,
Well,
I lost the connection. I don't know what's going on with this phone up here.
Okay.
Oh, well, I can hear you now.
It must be Blog Talk, because you just went out, Val, for a few moments. So it must be something with Blog Talk for everyone.
Okay. That's what it is, probably. That happens sometimes on their end.
How do you see the connection between the sincerity and the imagination?
Well, it would be, you're doing it for an honorable reason. Your imagination. You're doing it for to become more aware. So whatever you do, and if you're singing the new you, then you're in line with everything, and life will work with you. So then, sincerity is important, because that puts you in the ballpark, and aligns you with what is real and what could be possible using your imagination. So that is very important. Yeah.
I think imagination is like deciding.
Yeah, you make a decision, you make a choice to do something. It's an active act of intent. You're doing something. You're not just passive, responding or reacting to something, but you're actually doing something in an active way. So that's a start. It's you're being caused, basically, and not the effect. So it's a start in some realm, some dimension, some plane or area of life. I mean, it's real, it's happening, and you've created something for yourself. So you can, it's out there, floating out there, so you can develop it, by putting more attention on it, seeing where it goes, or it just goes, or else if you don't put attention on it, it just flies away and just disappears into wherever, space. But you've been the cause of something, Each of our thoughts are something, and we can, like you say, develop them, or else just let them go. And if we don't have tap lines on us, and then we have more, it's easier for us to let these things go. But the thing is that these thoughts, we're implanted with other people's imagination. That's what happens. It's other people, we've been hijacked. Our imagination has been hijacked, as they say. And so we're using other people's ideas and imaginations. And that's where we get into trouble, because here in the physical, it's just people don't have the, best interests for us. So that's why people are confused and stressed and everything. They're not using their own validity or their own imagination. They're agreeing to other people's ideas and pictures.
Do you see imagination as recognizing? Like, how would imagination recognize or perceive being a free being of real light?
Well, it's just a tool. I just see it as a tool. It's not the recognition itself. It's just something you use to, like an image that you put up there that you can utilize to recognize the reality of life. But it's not the reality itself, because the reality is not any of these things that we consider here. Our ideas or feelings or thoughts or considerations, our imagination, it's beyond that. It doesn't exist in a way. It's an unknown. But imagination is maybe the closest thing we can get to it, by dreaming of what it could be in a way. So that's like, it's something that is like probably one of the best things you could use to get closer to this reality. But then eventually you have to let it go anyway, because once you see this reality or you recognize it, it's just like it's an is beyond what you've imagined before. It's beyond that. Your imagination becomes even dull, or it's not even close to the reality. So it's kind of interesting the way it works. At least the way I see it here, that's where it works for me here.
Yeah, imagination, because it sounds like Dwayne says that we're here to recognize the isness life is. And it seems like to recognize this isness life is, we need references and a comparison. It sounds like Dwayne's providing the references, and we're experiencing this psych realm stuff. I guess that's the comparison to the real universes of real freedom. Here we're slaves, and there we're not. Things like that. And so if we want to continue to be slaves, then I guess we have that choice too. But if we want a new position, sounds like instead of staying as a slave, we need to have some guidance and education how to make sense of not being a slave. Without the guidance and the education, it sounds like we're going to continue to be slaves on this earth. So that seems like that's very important, what's being offered right now, these attempts to reach those who are ready, that have had enough of being a slave and don't want to be a slave anymore, want real freedom and not have to go through all this brutalitarian, authoritarian experiences anymore. Keep coming back, and it doesn't seem to change, that we're just being used for others' selfish purposes. Person really want to recognize what's being presented to them, or are they still at a point where they don't care? There's other things that are more important in this psych realm stuff, about thinking about the physical as being so important, or where we think what is most important to us. Do we really want to come back again in another body when we see the earth being so, well, made worse than instead of being made better by those that are here? It's just like if you were on a planet that is pure, and this place would look like their worst nightmare to experience, with wars and stuff. Through singing this new song, the new you, that such a treasure for those that are ready to have the opportunity to not have to reincarnate anymore, to get to be in the real universes of real freedom, and without any more of this nightmare experience. And there's so much, it seems like, that with our little human minds that we're not seeing about the bigger picture, about what life is. We only see this little psych realm stuff, the physical, and it's hard to even have any idea, imagination of how wonderful the experience of life can be, or really is. So if anyone's listening that would like to test out the new you song, and get some of the books that Dwayne, and then there's Skype groups, and there's these blog talk radio things, and then all the information and stuff that's being put out on the Facebook and the Skype. Guide a person to the opportunity to find out for themselves, to test for themselves if it's something that makes sense to them, and get involved with the projects of and spreading this, sharing this, whether you call it information or hints or references, to others that are inquiring or think that ability that life can be so wonderful we can't even imagine how good it could be. So anyway, it's just to that point, I guess this opportunity comes around at certain times, and is there anything that anybody would like to talk about or mention? I guess that there's all kinds of things being presented about things for a person's health, like the Jilly Juice and the John Ellis water and these projects about like the all solar research vessels and the Nations United Universal University and the homeschooling, the new homeschooling. I really don't know unless somebody opportunity. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd say you've still been cutting in and out, so it's been so it must be Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, must be. All right, well, unless anybody has something else that they'd like to be mentioning, maybe we'll just end the show today. And let's see, Lila has a Blog Talk Radio show tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. Oh, is it 8?
Yes, it's 8 o'clock, yes.
Oh, yeah, great. And then you, Val, have your sing the new you song and end the show. Okay. New you. And thanks again, Val, for helping present the show.
Thanks for having us, Tim.